Hi everyone out there in Comic Community Central World. This is Spider Slayer from Comic Book Corner, bringing to you something a little different. This will be the last of my shows that I do. I've done about 3 or 4 of them already. This will be the last episode 1 of all my shows, and then I will move on to the number 2s. This is going to be about pretty much about Image comics. I might do some reviews on comic books on Image. Not all of us knows too much about these books. Not everyone reads them. We don't hear nearly as much as maybe we need to about them to get other people to buy Image books. I know they have a lot of weird series out there. Not everyone buys them. I don't buy all of them. But what I'm going to share with you are the issues that I read. And I don't know yet if it's going to be week to week or month to month or whenever these issues come out. I think on this channel what I'm going to do is I'm going to do occasional reviews on these particular Image books. And these are the ones that I read currently, and there could be more in the future. I am not sure. So, but I will do a review on this channel for Image books. And the first one we are going to start off with is this particular series right here. And I may not do a review on this particular book because I do it on my other channel, so you guys can check that out on my channel. But a book that I read, that a lot of us do read, is The Walking Dead. This book has started off way down in way back in 2003. I always talk about The Walking Dead. However, I will not be doing reviews on this channel of The Walking Dead. It's on my other channel, Comic Book Corner, if you want to see those reviews. I have plenty of them. I reviewed the TV show, I reviewed the comic, I review everything about it. But for anybody who's not familiar with this book, Robert Kirkman writes it. It's a survivor horror story about a group of individuals that are surviving a zombie apocalypse, and you follow this group from the beginning to the end, and things will shock you along the way. The story is phenomenal. We started off in 2003 with issue number 1, and now we are all the way in issue number 93, and this issue actually comes out this week. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the storyline. It looks like that they're leaving possibly their safe haven that they've lived in for the past year or so, it seems like, in the story world. Rick and the group have found another man. His name is Jesus. That's what he goes by. And he says there's other people out there. You're not the only ones. So is the group going to go with this guy named Jesus? Are they going to trust him? What's going to happen? I don't know. But we're at issue 93 now. So this is a very successful series for Image Comics. This is 20 years of Image. They started way back in 1992, and now it's 2012. 1992, yeah, tough times, man, for comics, but they survived it just like everybody else, and they got some good books out. So if you don't read The Walking Dead, I highly recommend it. It's a great story. You guys won't be disappointed. If you're interested, you can see my Walking Dead tribute that I did earlier last week, and you can appreciate the art and some of the things that I put on there. So next is... this next issue is Chew, or this next series, I'm sorry, is Chew. And I must say that I just did a most recent review on my channel of issue number 23. And I hope you guys check it out because it's a great book. Chew, I have a lot to say about it. It's about an FDA agent. His name is Agent Chu. He has the ability to taste things, and yet he's able to solve crimes with this ability. So, for instance, on this plate here with this turkey, and it has a knife in it, if he was to touch the blood on the turkey, he could find out whose blood it is, where it came from, how the person got killed, and he can solve his crimes this way. He can taste a peach, he can taste what tree it came from, what pesticides are on it, how it was grown, everything. So he has that ability. It's called like a kybiopath. This book is very witty, it's funny, it's got great art, it's just got all these unique things that make it a special series. I so recommend Shoe for a lot of people. If you guys have not read this, you are missing out. It is a phenomenal book. It's fun. If you want to catch up on it, you can grab the trades. They have a new story arc every 3 to 4 issues, just like every other comic out there. But they're very descriptive on what the character is and what he's gone through. So you really don't feel lost in the book. It is really interesting book. It started off at issue number 1. We are now at issue 23. Again, I did a review on my channel, Comic Book Corner, for this particular issue. If you guys are interested, please check it out. You'll see a lot more of what Chew is about in here. Again, I have so much to say about this book, but readers who are interested and don't know what it's really about, you will not be disappointed. Again, it's not boring, it's funny, the art is great. There's all these little things in the background of the pages. It's phenomenal. Very good book. Okay, we're in issue 23 of this one, so this has been out for a couple years as well. So this is another good book that Image has released. Okay, next we move on to Savage Dragon. Guys, Savage Dragon has been around just as long as Spawn has. It's not maybe quite as good as Spawn, I don't know, but I don't read Spawn anymore. But the same creator, Eric Larson, still draws the book. He's still heavily involved. He still writes it. He does everything with the book. This came out in 1992, and Savage Dragon is a character who's from another planet, who basically was supposed to take over another world. But his race did not want that to happen, so he landed on Earth. He lost his memory. He had no idea who he was, who he's from, anything like that. And basically, people found him. I think it was the police force. And now he's a cop, or he was a cop, and he was doing saving the world, being a cop on Earth, and you fight all these crazy characters. It's just nice, and Eric Larson is the artist of this book, and I love his drawings. I read him when he did the Amazing Spider-Man, when he took over the Spider-Man series for McFarlane. I like his work. It's exaggerated, artistic work, but if you like that kind of thing, and you look outside the box a little bit, you might appreciate it. But Savage Dragon has been around forever, and it's gone so far where, like, he has gotten killed by his own body somehow, and has eaten his brain, and things like that, and his kids had to take over. You know, his kids had to fight to save the world because his dad's been missing, and just recently now his dad has reappeared. So it's interesting comic. This is today's. Larson does crazy stuff like this every once in a while. He's had Osama bin Laden on his covers. He's had George Bush on his covers. That's gotten knocked out. he's got Bin Laden on this cover here as this big dragon monster trying to take over the earth, and this is Savage Dragon's son, and this is Savage Dragon's daughter. Malcolm is his son's name, and basically they've been protecting Earth while his father has been gone, and recently his father has returned. But the covers for this has been very witty. He does, again, things like this from time to time. But Savage Dragon is an interesting read. You can get all the trades out there. I mean, it's been out for a long time, guys. I mean, we're on issue 177 for this one. So I recommend Savage Dragon to people if you're looking for something different out there. Okay. Next, we have, and this is a new title for me, Hack and Slash. This just recently came to Image. I have not read the first issue. I've always looked at this at the comic book store, but I've never read it. I've always was interested in what this is about. And I just recently read the past couple issues, which was in the middle of a story arc, so I couldn't quite get it. And now I'm reading the beginning of a new story arc, and they're basically on this weird island right now, and the main character's name is Casey. And Hack and Slash has not been in Image for a very long time. It was mostly in I think on IDW and other companies, and now it's made its way to Image. And she's some kind of slasher, and there's this guy's name. He's trying to protect her. So I don't know too much about Hack and Slash right now. Like I said, they're on this weird island, and with these monstrous creatures, and Cassie, the main character, almost got killed by some zombie-like creatures that were inhabiting this island, and that's where we're at right now with this particular issue. So I'll probably, as I go, I'll see if I can get into this series. So I'm not recommending it to anybody, but I'm just letting you know that it's out there, and this has been one of those series that's been around for a while, and I'm not sure if people are scared to try it out and see what it is, but it's got nice art. It's beautiful art. The main character is nice to look at, and it's interesting to see what this story really is about. So if you guys have any feedback from me out there, just let me know more about what Hack and Slash is, and as I get more into the series, I'll do some reviews on this particular one. Right now we are at currently issue number 12 with Hack and Slash. So you can see here, you can see now in the comic form how Casey looks here. She doesn't always look like this in the actual comic. They kind of make the covers pretty sexy looking, and this character here on top of the car is like her main guy here, the guy that protects her, but he's kind of sick right now. He's got some kind of disease. I'm not sure exactly what has happened here, but this book is done by Tim Seeley, and the art is done by Daniel Lester. And just a brief description here, so you guys can understand. It's a weird description, but Casey Hack is a lone survivor of an attack by a slasher called the Lunch Lady, and a slasher that happened to be her mother. And now she travels the world with her monster's partner and friend, and her partner's name is Vlad. And they're hunting down and destroying slashers wherever they find them. So, and I guess since she's trying to find a cure for herself. So, interesting stuff, and we'll see where this goes. Last but not least, and I'm going to spend some time on this one because I don't know how many people read this, and this is a very excellent book. Now, I do want you guys to know that I will be showing some graphic pictures on this because I want you to see the artwork and what it's really like and what this book is about. But Invincible is a superhero book. He's not a cheese whiz superhero, guys. This guy goes all out. there's times in this comic where things are slow, and then there's other times where things are fast. Now, this is issue 87. This book has been out just as long as The Walking Dead. I mean, this is a very liked book. People tend to get turned off by it because there's some really intense story arcs. There's really high action. It peaks, it gets so high, and then the next thing you know is that it just drops for 4 or 5 issues. If you can hold on to that, if you can understand how this book is, then you will enjoy Invincible. Because what comes with the highs, there's always the lows, but it's all part of the grand scheme of the story. And I also think that maybe this year's, why it was a little slow for half of the year, was because of, just for the reason being is that I think Robert Kirkman, who does this book as well, was really busy with The Walking Dead. So I think there's a lot of slow points in it for a reason. But it's picking up again. They promised to ship it on time every month. So I'm really anxious forward to seeing this. I'm going to show you guys some pictures here, and I'm letting you know right now they're pretty graphical, like with violence and stuff. So for all the younger viewers out there, maybe you should have a parent with you, or maybe you shouldn't watch it at all. But for everybody else here we go. Here's some other picks. First off, we'll start off with one that's not so bad. This is Invincible. His name is Mark, and this is another character. His name is Dinosaurus. And recently, in the most recent issues, they used to be arch enemies, but now they've teamed up and they're trying to save the world. But this is one of the villains here that you can see, and you can appreciate the artwork of the main character and one of the villains here. Next, we can see here is in one of the chapters of one of the issues, we can see that they kind of cloned Invincible, and they made a whole bunch of him, and they did this epic battle somewhere around, and I think it was like in the 60s or something like that. But it was a great time, and again, you can appreciate how they created all these different costumes and different ways to make Invincible. And I thought this was a very cool picture to show you guys here of how many different variations they made. Next here we can see the softer side of the story. We have Invincible's girlfriend, and her name is Adam Eve. She's a superhero herself. She does work with Invincible, and they have their own like company to help people and things like that. But we can see here that this is the relationship. They've been involved with each other for a very long time. Invincible fought in this war called the Vulturmite War, and this was this long war where he was gone for like a year. So they were apart for a year, and Adam Eve missed Mark, who is Invincible, tremendously, and she put on some weight, but she was dealing with her own personal issues as well. And recently, when he came back home, they got back together and caught up on some old times. So there is a softer side of this book. I just want you guys to know this before I show you these gruesome battle pictures. But also, this is what makes the story so great. Okay, so for instance, this particular picture is not that bad. But this particular story arc in Invincible was one of the best story arcs, and it was called the Vulturmite War. And basically, it is Invincible against all the Vulturmites. And now Invincible is a Vulturmite. He's like a half-breed. He's half human and half Vulturmite. And because his father was a Vulturmite, but he turned good. And so basically, they're very close to humans, the Vulturmites, except they're very, very powerful. I mean, they make Superman look like very, very weak, and you can't stop these guys. And what happens is just amazing in this particular story arc. It climaxed so hardcore. But I'll show you some pictures, and again, they're pretty graphic. Okay, for this instance here, you can see a lot of blood action going on, a a lot of fighting. But Invincible fought this guy, and his name was Conquest, and this just proves to you how violent this comic can get. But you can see in the top left-hand corner in that little panel, he starts headbutting his enemy, and he keeps doing it and doing it and doing it until the guy's face was just pretty much destroyed. Awesome panel, awesome artwork here by Ryan Otley, who does the drawings for Invincible. Next here you can see a kind of a close-up of the details of how much of a beating he gets. And from, actually, this is that same story arc from that guy Conquest, and just how intense the story really does get in the battle scenes and things like that. I mean, just phenomenal again. And I got more to show you. Here in this part here, we see the leader of the Viltrumites punching Oliver, which is Invincible's brother, and he literally, you can see it, rips off his arm and just punches his jaw off. I mean, the leader just destroys the guy without even trying. But again, I'm going to go into the detail. This what makes this comic so good is the intense battle and fight scenes in this book. I mean, awesome, and the detail is phenomenal. Here's another intense battle scene against that guy Conquest that I was telling you about, and him and Invincible were doing this death battle. You know, whoever's the one standing is the winner, and that's how it happened. And here in the first top panel, Invincible's like just choking him to death until he just does not have any breath. But then you can see here in this middle panel where he says, no, no, no. He takes his hand and reaches up in his gut and just pulls his intestines out. But at the same time, you see that the eyes roll in the back of Conquest's head, and that's basically how he dies. But that's the end of this particular fight sequence on this panel. It was a great read. I mean, here's basically just the last of, you know, not too much gory, but this is the same thing in that story arc. Mark here, you can see that he's lying on the ground and he's trying to recover from these wounds. But again, Invincible, guys, I don't know if it gets enough respect out there. I wish you guys would tell me if you guys read it or not, and maybe what I'm showing you here kind of piques your interest. They have the volumes, the graphic novels. You guys can check those out. Again, Invincible is a phenomenal book. Like I said, it's been on a low after this particular story arc, but now it's picking back up again. I highly suggest Invincible. I highly suggest it. It is a very good book, and I think a lot of people get the wrong impression of the story, like it's some cheesy wannabe superhero comic, and it's not like that at all. Very well written. All right, so that about does it for some of these Image books. Another recommendation out there I know is Morning Glories. That's a good book. I actually had to drop it just because of financial issues. But it is a good storyline, very original. But that's about it. And what you're going to see here from this point forward is I will be doing Image comic reviews. So basically off of the books that I showed you and maybe some others that I pick up along the way. This way it gives you guys a little bit more to, you know, maybe look for at the comic store besides the big two. You know, Image is, a lot of people consider it the third best comic book group out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and maybe next time I'll get a better Image logo here because it's kind of blurry. But that's about it for me, and this is Spider Slayer saying thank you for taking the time and watching this video, and thank you time for watching all of us out here on the Comic Community Central, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. So take care, have a great one, bye.